Hi, I'm John Holland, Public Information Officer for the Oshkosh Fire Department. Welcome to this edition to On Fire. Today what we're doing is we are showing our guys doing a little dive training. They're out in Grundy Quarry, and I have to definitely give a huge thanks to Mr. Phil Grundy for allowing us to use his quarry for training. The reason we use this versus the lake or the river is, number one, the depth. We can go down much further, and also it's a lot closer. We used to use red granite quarry, and this is right outside of Oshkosh here. We are going to talk to firefighter paramedic Matt Vanzelin. He is our dive expert, and he is going to go through what the divers wear and why, and then also talk about a little bit about what we're doing out here today in the quarry. And we are basically practicing dive rescue, so our guys are going back and forth out there, but Matt knows more about this, and he can actually tell you way more specifically what is happening here.
Hi, my name is Matt Vanzelin. I'm a firefighter paramedic with Oshkosh. I'm responsible for the majority of the dive training on our dive team. I am, in my personal life, a diver as well as here, and I teach through the organization PADI. So I end up training and certifying all the divers on the team to the Public Safety Diver Standard. For the OFD, this is considered a special team. You sign up for it, and upon availability of the training funds, you can be on the team. From the time a diver starts, it's about a calendar year to get to the finish point of where they're active on the team. When a firefighter signs up for dive training class, they have to be competent in swimming. So when I tell people, do you have to be a great swimmer? Absolutely not. But you definitely have to be a competent swimmer, because the very first class you take to just learn how to dive, there is a swim test, both a distance test and treading water for 10 minutes. None of it's hard, but you have to be competent in the water, comfortable in the water. This isn't like, you see on TV where somebody goes down and we're hopping out of the truck with our gear on. I mean, we're going fast, but as you can see, has to be systematic and checks and double checks, because there's so much that potentially could go wrong. Because there's so much to public safety diving, we need to be very methodical and very attentive to detail to make sure that everything is done right and nothing is missed. So from start to finish, it is not an extremely fast process, but we try to efficiently and effectively get the diver suited up and into the water for the rescue. All of our divers will wear their dry suits year-round, whether it's the middle of summer or middle of winter. This will protect us from the water temperature. In summer, even though it's warm, as you get down deeper, the water gets colder, and depending on the time that the divers are underwater, they do need to have that protection. And especially in winter, when we're diving underneath the ice, the divers will have essentially snowsuits underneath those dry suits to keep themselves warm, and they are relatively comfortable in the 34-degree water. A diver can stay underwater is going to be very dependent on the fitness level, the anxiety level, and the depth of the diver. But just a general rule for us, if we were diving at approximately 20 feet of water, one of those larger tanks will last about an hour. But again, it's very dependent on the diver and the conditions and how deep we go. But with Lake Winnebago and the river, we don't get much deeper than about 25 feet max. In a real world dive scenario, we'll have a minimum of one person at least helping the diver. This is an ideal situation where we have extra people, but of course in the city with emergencies, there could be other calls going on. All the companies might not be there yet, but typically we're gonna have one diver with one person helping them get ready. If we have more, that's great, but at least one person, because that other person also is doing the pre-dive checks to ensure that mistakes aren't being made. All dive scenarios, we will always have at least 2 divers. If we have less than 2 divers, we do not dive. So at a minimum with the 2 divers, one is a primary diver. They will start the initial search, and the backup diver will be in the water but not diving. They will be what it sounds like, they'll be the backup diver. So they'll begin their search, and if something happens, they need help, they have the backup diver there. But then there's also what we strive for is having a 90% diver. That would be a third person that is approximately 90% ready to go. They can stay on shore, but they have the majority of their gear on, they're ready to go. But that third person is not a go, no-go situation. In a given year, our dive team will actually conduct maybe 2 to 3 rescues or attempts of rescues. Even though we're only getting out and actually doing a dive rescue or rescue attempt 2 to 3 times a year, we have a unique situation where our divers are truly trying to make that rescue or that save. So within the first couple moments of somebody or us being notified that somebody goes down, our divers can be geared up in the water within approximately, give or take, 45 minutes, depending on the conditions and where they are, and start searching for that person to make that rescue. After about 90 minutes of viability time, we turn the scene over to the county, and then the county will then get their divers to then make it more of a recovery dive. Of course, all efforts will be made to save the individual, but we do have that teamwork between us and the county where we're trying to make that quick rescue, and the county is there for that long search and body recovery. If you witness somebody going down, of course, immediately call 911 and stay where you are, because your initial location of where you are and where you saw somebody go down, that makes a world of difference for us as rescue and or recovery divers. So stay where you are, try to really make a mental note of how far out they are. Did you see them thrashing? Were they wearing a life jacket? What was going on? Because all that information will be extremely useful for us during our search patterns, the type of patterns we use. The whole recovery is very much dependent on that initial information we get from the witness. Diving here at our training quarry offers 2 things. It's a very safe, controlled environment for training for a diver, so we can practice stuff in a safe environment, and it offers some visibility. So here at the quarry we have, on a good day, 10 to 12 feet of visibility. That's pretty good for Wisconsin quarries. Now, reality is, when we get our divers into the river, when we get our divers into Lake Winnebago, it's, for the most part, 0 visibility. That means our divers could basically close their eyes, sink to the bottom, and start their search pattern. So our divers are always tethered. They are relying 100% on the tender to tell them where to go, when to turn, to stop, to tell them, yep, you're in an area, so really make sure you're feeling around. But there is essentially no visibility whatsoever. The bottom is murky, mucky. There's no solid bottom, so it's definitely weird. You're trying to balance the vertical because you can't see what's up and down, so a lot of times we'll keep our eyes closed. We do departmental training, department-wide, for our tenders. So in any situation, any firefighter could be a tender. So we have that every year. We do refresher training and then for the new individuals. But we also would prefer to have a diver's tender. If we have the manpower available, we're going to have one of our divers that's not suited up, they will tend the diver that's out there, because obviously they are more knowledgeable in what needs to happen when and how to communicate with the diver.
Thank you for watching this episode of On Fire. We hope you learned something today. Until next time, make sure you stay safe out there, and thanks again.